Before we even say the word Libra, before Venus is named, there's something important you need to understand. People who resonate with this energy are rarely looking for attention. They're not trying to dominate a room. They're not interested in control. And yet somehow, when they walk into a space, the atmosphere changes. Conversations soften. Voices lower. Tension dissolves just enough for people to breathe again. If you've ever been that person, you already know this is not something you chose. It's something that chose you. This story isn't about astrology as entertainment. It's about astrology as language. A way to describe a pattern you've lived your whole life, but never fully named. Libra is ruled by Venus. And Venus does not rule ambition. Venus does not rule survival. Venus rules value. What you are drawn to. What feels worth choosing. What feels intolerable. What you're willing to sacrifice for, and what you're not. Venus answers the question most people avoid. What makes life beautiful enough to stay? When Venus rules a person, that question becomes personal. Libra does not move through life asking how to win. Libra moves through life asking how to align. How to exist without creating unnecessary damage. How to connect without overpowering. How to belong without destroying balance. That question alone explains why so many Libras feel emotionally older than their age. From early on, many Libras learn something subtle but powerful. Harmony keeps people safe. They notice that when voices rise, things break. When emotions spill, people retreat. When conflict escalates, relationships fracture. So they adapt. They learn how to read the room, how to sense mood shifts, how to choose words carefully. They learn how to soften their edges before anyone else feels uncomfortable. At first, this feels like emotional intelligence. And in many ways, it is. People trust them. People open up to them. People calm down around them. Venus is working exactly as designed. But there's a cost no one warns them about. When you are good at creating harmony, people begin to expect you to maintain it. Even when it hurts you. Venus gives Libra an extraordinary sensitivity to imbalance. They feel it in conversations that drift subtly unfair. In relationships where effort quietly flows in one direction. In silence that carries unspoken resentment. Others might ignore it. Libra can't. It's like hearing a note slightly out of tune. No one else notices. But it never stops ringing in your ears. So Libra tries to correct it. They explain more gently. They compromise more generously. They wait more patiently. They believe that if they adjust just a little more, things will even out. This belief becomes the first illusion of the Libra journey. The idea that harmony is something you earn by being agreeable. And for a while, the illusion works. Relationships stay intact. Conflicts dissolve. Life looks peaceful on the surface. But something underneath begins to erode. Libra starts losing contact with their own edge. Their preferences blur. Their desires feel negotiable. They become fluent in other people's emotional languages, while forgetting their own. This doesn't mean Libra lacks desire. It means expressing it feels dangerous. Because what if it disrupts the balance? What if it disappoints someone? What if it makes things messy? Venus whispers, keep it beautiful. And Libra listens. This is why Libra is so often misunderstood as indecisive. From the outside, it looks like hesitation. From the inside, it feels like responsibility. Every choice carries emotional consequences. If I choose this, someone loses. If I say no, someone feels rejected. If I choose myself, something breaks. So Libra pauses. And pausing becomes a pattern. This is where many Libras feel quietly stuck in life. Not because they lack intelligence. Not because they lack talent. But because they are constantly weighing invisible emotional outcomes. They are not choosing between options. They are choosing between relationships. That kind of decision-making is exhausting. This is the first emotional drop. The realization that being the peacemaker often means never fully resting. Venus doesn't step in yet. Because Venus isn't here to rescue Libra. Venus is here to mature them. So imbalance grows. Libra finds themselves in relationships where they give more than they receive. Where they listen more than they are heard. Where they accommodate more than they are accommodated. And because Libra hates ugliness, they rarely name this imbalance directly. They hint. They soften. They hope the other person will notice. Sometimes they do. Often, they don't. And here is where the wait begins. Not anger. Not bitterness. Just fatigue. Tired of explaining. Tired of adjusting. Tired of being the emotional stabilizer. This is the point where many Libras ask a question they're afraid to answer. Is this just what love feels like? Venus answers slowly. No, love is not meant to feel like constant self-editing. Balance is not meant to require self-erasure. But Libra doesn't hear this clearly yet. Instead, they try harder. They become even more reasonable, even more understanding, even more fair, until something gives. Sometimes it's a relationship that suddenly collapses. Sometimes it's resentment surfacing out of nowhere. Sometimes it's exhaustion with no obvious cause. This is Venus turning up the volume. Because when Libra ignores imbalance long enough, Venus teaches through discomfort. This is the first mini-climax. The moment Libra realizes that something beautiful has become unsustainable. And here's the painful truth. Libra often blames themselves. Maybe I asked for too much. Maybe I wasn't clear enough. Maybe I should have been more patient. But the reality is simpler and harder. You cannot maintain balance alone. Venus does not reward martyrdom. Venus rewards reciprocity. This is where the story begins to shift. Slowly, painfully, Libra starts to understand that harmony without honesty is hollow. That peace built on silence is fragile. That beauty that costs you your voice is not beauty. It's performance. This realization doesn't arrive as a dramatic epiphany. It arrives quietly, as a thought you can't unthink, as a feeling you can't ignore, as a pattern you finally see clearly. And once Libra sees it, there is no going back. Because now, a new question emerges. If harmony requires self-abandonment, what happens when I stop abandoning myself? That question changes everything. And it is exactly where the next phase begins. If harmony requires self-abandonment, what happens when I stop abandoning myself? At first, Libra doesn't answer this question out loud. They sit with it. They feel it settle into their body. Because this question is dangerous. It threatens the role they've played for years. The identity built around being reasonable, fair, easy to love. If I stop adjusting, who am I without the role of peacekeeper? This is where fear shows up. Not loud fear. Quiet fear. The fear that honesty will cost them connection. That boundaries will make them less lovable. That choosing themselves will leave them alone. Venus watches this moment closely. Because this is the exact point where Libra either evolves or repeats the same cycle with different people. At first, the changes are subtle. Libra pauses before saying yes. They hesitate before smoothing things over. They notice the urge to fix and resist it. This feels deeply uncomfortable because Libra is not used to letting tension exist. They've spent a lifetime diffusing it. So when they allow silence after a difficult truth, when they don't rush to explain themselves, their nervous system reacts. This is new territory. But something else happens too. They feel more present, more solid, more real. This is the beginning of Libra's awakening. Venus starts shifting from charm to self-worth. Libra begins to understand that fairness is not about equal effort on paper. It's about equal impact. That compromise is not noble if it always goes in one direction. That love is not proven by endurance alone. This realization changes how Libra sees their past. They start noticing patterns they once dismissed. How often they apologized just to keep things calm. How often they stayed quiet to avoid rocking the boat. How often they accepted less because asking felt selfish. This awareness can feel heavy, because with awareness comes grief. Grief for the version of themselves who thought peace meant silence. Grief for the relationships that only worked when they were smaller. Grief for the time spent waiting for balance that never came. This is a deep emotional drop. And many Libras try to retreat here. They wonder if it was better before they saw the truth. If life felt simpler when they didn't question everything. But Venus doesn't let them go back. Once Libra sees imbalance clearly, they can no longer unsee it. This is when life starts testing them. Venus doesn't test through chaos. Venus tests through relationships. A partner reacts defensively when Libra speaks honestly. A friend withdraws when Libra sets a boundary. A dynamic shifts the moment Libra stops overgiving. And this is the second mini-climax. Because now Libra must decide. Do I return to the version of myself that keeps everyone comfortable? Or do I stay with the truth, even if it changes everything? This choice is rarely dramatic. It's made in small moments. Choosing not to explain yourself again. Choosing to let someone be disappointed. Choosing to leave a conversation unresolved. Each time Libra chooses honesty over harmony, something inside them strengthens. Not aggression. Integrity. They start realizing something powerful. Conflict doesn't destroy connection. Avoidance does. Boundaries don't push people away. They reveal who is only there for convenience. This realization marks a major emotional rise. Libra begins to feel less scattered, less torn between options, less responsible for everyone's emotional state. They start feeling centered, and this changes how others experience them. People can no longer lean endlessly on their patience. They can no longer assume Libra will adjust first. They can no longer rely on silence as consent. Some relationships deepen. These are the ones built on mutual respect, not emotional convenience. Other relationships fade, not explosively, naturally, because they were sustained by imbalance. This is not loss. This is Venus restoring equilibrium. Libra begins to understand that balance is not static. It is dynamic. It requires constant truth. Now something else shifts. Libra's indecision starts dissolving, not because choices get easier, but because they stop prioritizing everyone else's comfort over their own clarity. They realize they don't need perfect certainty to choose. They need alignment. Does this choice honor my values? Does it respect my time, my energy, my heart? If the answer is no, the decision becomes simple. This is another emotional climb. Libra starts trusting themselves. And with trust comes authority. Not dominance. Presence. They speak less, but with more weight. They listen, but no longer absorb. They compromise, but not reflexively. Venus now expresses itself differently, not as charm that seeks approval, but as confidence rooted in self-respect. People feel this shift immediately. Conversations change around Libra. Dynamics recalibrate. Expectations adjust. Some people resist this version of Libra. They say things like, "You've changed. You're not as easy as before. You're being distant." Libra hears these words, and for the first time, they don't panic. Because they understand something crucial now. Being liked is not the same as being valued. This understanding marks the major climax of the Libra journey. The moment they realize they are not here to maintain peace at all costs. They are here to model what balanced connection looks like. Venus, at its highest expression, is not soft. It is discerning. It asks, is this mutual? Is this respectful? Is this real? Libra finally starts asking the same questions. And when they do, their energy becomes unmistakable. They don't chase connection. They attract it. They don't negotiate their worth. They embody it. They don't smooth over discomfort. They hold space for truth. This is the evolved Libra. Still kind. Still graceful. Still deeply relational. But no longer self-erasing. This is why evolved Libras feel grounding to be around. They don't dominate conversations. They don't need to prove anything. They create a sense of emotional order. Not by controlling others, but by being aligned with themselves. When conflict arises, they don't avoid it. They address it calmly, clearly, without cruelty. When love is offered, they receive it, without shrinking, without over-explaining. When something is no longer fair, they leave without drama. This is not coldness. This is clarity. Venus, through Libra, teaches one of the most difficult lessons in human relationships. That love does not require self-sacrifice. That beauty does not require silence. That harmony does not come from pleasing everyone. It comes from honoring truth with grace. And when Libra lives this lesson, they become unforgettable, not because they are loud, not because they are intense, but because being around them feels balanced. You feel seen without being overwhelmed, challenged without being attacked, accepted without being enabled. When a Libra like this leaves your life, you don't feel chaos. You feel the absence of harmony. You realize how much emotional order they brought simply by being aligned. This is Venus's ultimate gift. Not romance, not charm, but relational intelligence. The ability to create connection that is both beautiful and fair. If this story resonated with you, if it felt like someone finally put words to patterns you've lived, pause for a moment. This kind of awareness doesn't arrive randomly. Like this video if it helped you recognize yourself. Share it with someone who carries emotional weight quietly. And subscribe, so we can continue exploring the deeper patterns that shape who we are. Because astrology isn't about predicting your future. It's about understanding your role. And once you understand it, you can finally choose balance without losing yourself.